the month of August, which would also be the Leo new moon that happened a few short days ago. Since it's been a while, I have these 5 foals that came. I guess the last video I did was when Phoenix Rising was born. He is somewhere in this mix. Shortly after his birth was followed by another 4 colts. And they are all here with me in this group. And we've been doing some really deep, I guess you could call it soul-searching, personal exploration, horse wisdom exploration, ancestral exploration through the use of the acupuncture meridians. And this is something that I started working with, I don't know, years ago, and then it just really came and kind of became amplified in the last year. And in working with each of the energetic points along these meridians, there's been some really miraculous things that have happened. And so that's what I'm really interested in sharing with you guys from here forward. Along with the stories of these horses as soul wisdom providers that have come to help me understand who I am by becoming and showing up to be who they are in relationship to their ancestral lineage, their spiritual lineage, and their relationship to myself, my ancestral lineage, and my spiritual lineage, and how that actually relates to all of us universally. Because even though it might not seem like everything is one and the same, it really is all connected when you start to see how things tie themselves together and connect the dots. Because when we step out of our own attachment to these stories, we're really part of this bigger universal picture. And so it feels good to be back here. There was a lot that I needed to kind of sort through and sift through and work with in order to be able to find my voice again and trust in this that comes through me. So there is Phoenix Rising right there, and this is Zorro. They are half brothers. Their sire is Noche. And then we have, oh hello, Inti is right here, and his sire is Noche's son Magic. And then way down here we have the bay colt is Remy, or Remolino. And everybody really wants to be part of this. And the buckskin, who is back there, is Toro. So Remy and Toro were born the exact same morning, and their sire and Inti's sire is Magic, who is Noche's 2019 son, and then Zorro, who's walking away, and Phoenix Rising, their sire is Noche. So all of these colts are very much related to each other. Out of mares that are a little, I guess, pieces of all different lineages, and yet I have Sadie, who is the dam of Phoenix Rising, and who is also the dam of Daisy, who Daisy is the dam of Toro. So I have, and then interestingly enough, Falcon, the buckskin 2-year-old, is right there, and he's Daisy's son from 2020. And then Fancy, who is the dam to Inti right there, and who is the grand dam of Magic, who again is the sire to these 3 colts. So there is a lot of relational and ancestral connection here to explore with, and it's just been a fascinating process. And so I guess that's where this work is really headed, in communion with the Horse Wisdom Insights, for how each of these guys have shown up to offer insight and experience and depth and meaning and layers of space to provide with, to uncover all of these potentials and possibilities. And that is kind of where I guess this work is really heading, is to be able to share this in a way that is accessible by anyone and everyone, because it really and truly, it's been nothing short of many small miracles that have helped me physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually by sourcing these spiritual points along these acupuncture meridians in relationship to each of these horses. So I'm very excited to share all of this with you, and it still feels almost too big to be able to contain, but I've been doing my best over the course of the last few weeks to kind of try and bring it together in a way that is accessible and relatable, and so part of it was to start doing these videos again, which will hopefully coincide with the new and full moons like they used to, so the natural rhythms and cycles of nature. And so right now we had the Leo new moon just the other day, and Leo is the heart of the lion, so in relationship to our heart and the child within us. And so if we kind of start there, the heart, we bring our heart, or we protect our heart, really in relationship to everything we do. So we're either bringing our heart and our desire and our passion to it and growing that thing, growing ourselves through it, or we're in protection mode and we are stifling and staying and maintaining the status quo. And so really, if you look at the idea that everything is energy, we're either growing or suppressing. And for a lot of things I was doing, while I was growing in some instances, there was still a lot of suppression and repression and oppression that I had kept my heart closed off to life, closed off to insights. Over the last couple of years, I realized that I can't even hear a lot of messages that the horses were sharing anymore. And it actually began with Mahari, right there. She is a mare that was loaned to me for a couple years, and I remember a couple of years ago, she would stand beside me and I would get these really insightful messages, and then almost overnight it kind of just stopped. And I knew something had changed, but I didn't know what it was. But her wisdom, her relationship to these acupuncture meridians is in relationship to the triple warmer meridian, which is our three dantians, so our our solar plexus, our heart, and our mind. And the ability to hear messages from our heart and from spirit and from our intuition is in relationship to the triple warmer meridian, also known as the Sanyao. And so when I came to the realization that Mahari was holding this really important release point, and in releasing it, let me just take a step back. So what I've recognized and what I've come to learn is that these horses that have shown up for me in my life have, and I believe this to be true for most horses and most animals on the planet, is they hold energy that us humans, there are mirrors, so they hold these energies until someone in the human form takes responsibility for them, which is healing. Healing is essentially just taking responsibility for an energy and acknowledging it, because when we can acknowledge it, it can find its way, its pathway for release. It is within the acknowledgement that the release can happen, and there's releases going on everywhere around here right now in relationship to that. So me taking responsibility for what Mahari, this information, this wisdom that Mahari was holding for me, actually released it from her, so she no longer had to hold it for me to see, she no longer had to mirror it. And then in my taking responsibility for, because there is, I guess you could call a shadow and a light aspect of all energy, right? It's the yin and the yang, the polarity that exists, the duality that we experience in this physical life. Because without that experience of the polarity and duality, we wouldn't have a barometer, and that's just kind of how this reality works. And yet there's also, so that's the separation, and then there's on the continuum that return to oneness. So we begin in oneness and we separate, and then we are still oneness, and we're also separate as an ego consciousness. And then we come back to try to return back to that oneness, which is our relationship to spirit. And so where was I going with all this? So in taking responsibility for that energy, of being able to hear, and that pathway, which also unites those three energy centers within, it's not within all of us, within animals, within everything. It's the power, the heart, and the mind. And bringing those three together, when we can move the energy through those three fields, then we can hear the wisdom and the intuition from each of those places and spaces within us, and then we are moved into action. But we first have to be able to open ourselves up to receive the ability to hear and feel that wisdom. And so I guess that was just a little deep dive into kind of how I've been working with these. And there's a number of books that have helped me get to this point. But really one of the most beautiful ones is by Michelle Marie Gervais. And she wrote the book, The Spiritual Portraits of the Acupuncture Points. And that is something that I utilize every single day. I've kind of been using it like an oracle, but also in a relationship with muscle testing. So just testing the strength and the integrity of each point. And so when I find something that's out of integrity or out of alignment, to help return it, to reconcile with it, with that energy, and return all aspects of anything and anyone in relationship to that, to wholeness, which is kind of like retrieving the lost pieces of our soul, and returning those pieces to their rightful owners when we have taken on an energy, or taken something from someone, or taken responsibility for something that actually wasn't ours to take responsibility for. Oh, and here comes Toro. So Toro, his full name is Icaro del Kiri Toro, which means Healing Song of the Golden Bull. And in the shamanic practices of, not even the Mayans, but the Peruvian, I guess would be the Mayans, the Icaro is the healing song that is sung when this song comes to you intuitively, and it sometimes is words and it sometimes has no words, but it's our soul note. And so it's funny that I had 5, well, nothing's funny. It is funny though that out of all of the horses born, this was the first time I've ever had 5, and 5 is the number of change and transformation, and that all of them are colts. And so it's a very strong masculine energy, and yet Noche and his son Magic have a very strong feminine, divine feminine power within them, that what I believe and have come to know is that they've brought that for me through Noche's dam Annie, to help me find that, reconnect to that divine feminine within, that dark energy, that creative energy, that chaotic energy that is flow and is fluid and is just that force that is, when it's untapped, it can be very destructive, and when it's tapped consciously, can bring incredible power. And so each of these colts are descendants of Annie, and if you know Annie's story, how she came into my life was really beyond synchronicity, because her story began when I was probably 15 or 16, and I saw her grandsire, a picture of him in an ad in a Morgan Horse magazine, and I knew that one day I would have him or an offspring of his. And then 10 or 15 years later, I came across, while acquiring another black mare, I came across a picture of Annie and researched her, and then she came into my life. And so it's just this seed that is planted that we never know how it's going to mature, and the flowers and fruits that it's going to bear, but it's really this legacy that we're leaving when we can tap into these really powerful aspects that every single one of us has within us. And it is much thanks to all of these horses here and all of the many, many horses in my past that have allowed me to stand here and share a video like this with you guys, and really feel that I'm now actually able to do it from a place of standing in my power. And I'll share more of that story, about my one leg being shorter than the other one. And then if you were following me for a while, how I had that skiing accident and I tore my ACL, which is apparently the only muscle, or the only ligament that cannot repair itself. And yet what I believed was that we aren't created to not be able to heal ourselves without any intervention of anything else. And so if I believe in that, then there must be a way that I can heal myself without having to get surgery. So it was this, and that happened in 2021. Yes, February 3rd, 2021, I believe, or 2020. It almost seems like it was so long ago, and yet it's been this really interesting journey. And so the ACL is actually a bridge. So it's being able to bridge the two things that we think we can never bridge or bring together in order to create healing and harmony, and to be able to live a life of purpose, without having to continue to fall into, I guess, anything that really has to stop us short to remind us of what we're here to do. And that was a good part of much of my story, is between being kicked in the head, and I have all these moments in time in my life's journey where I just hit on the bridge of my nose and broke my nose. I've had my feet stepped on, and then this ACL thing, and that was really, I guess, wake-up calls, you could call it, that coming to the point where there is no going back to how things were before, because they were breaks in my body, which was actually a break in a fracturing, a breaking, a splitting in my consciousness, between my heart and my spirit and my soul. And so to find harmony and bring these pieces back together has the word life-saving, like really, and now I'm kind of getting emotional, but it's true. And so I'm just really beyond excited to share this, and it's accessible to any one of us. And so to share that with you guys in a way that even just by watching these videos, they will help open a door for your own healing, for you to find what it is that you need, for you to come to realizations just through the horse wisdom insights in relationship to these meridians within each of us, within the earth, within the universe, within everything, because it is the energy of everything that runs through each of us. So welcome back, and I love that Falcon's just been holding space and supporting this, and Falcon's soul wisdom is to support, to corroborate that which we know to be true, and now having a way of the universe revealing to us the strength of support that we have had all along, but we maybe just couldn't see it. So much love from myself, and I don't know where everybody else went, but there's a handful of them still here supporting this. So much love, and I look forward to sharing more from Guided by Equus. So to add to the Leo new moon, the childlike connection to our heart kind of energy that this cycle that we're in right now is, and Falcon holding a lot of space for that, I was then following Falcon this way and connected to a point along the stomach meridian, which is stomach 35, which actually helps recognize and reconcile with our responsibility by restoring childlike wonder, awe, and joy as a healthy, functioning adult. And that's actually a point on the knee. And so that point helps us restore our childlike wonder, but with the responsibility as an adult. So it's like the maturing into our responsibility, but still retaining that childlike quality and capacity within us, which is for sure the Leo season. So from Falcon and Zorro and myself, there is your invitation into these next few weeks of the Leo new moon, is to restore childlike wonder, awe, and joy within your responsibilities. So much love from myself and all of these horses at Guided by Equus.